Hey guys, going live here, but it says I go live, but I think it's recorded, so I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I've been making videos. Thank you guys for viewing. I hope I shared some information you guys need, but we got some breaking news right now that I have to make a video. I mean, my wife says, "Oh, you'll make another video?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm on. I have to." I'll read you the headline. The source on this is the American Military News. It dated today. It just came out today. I'll read you the headline. Troops suffered from life-threatening illnesses in dangerous military hospitals and conditions. Now, how that ties into our caregiver program is there was a person. I don't like. I read everybody's tweets. I don't like to put out names because the fact is that it's just not fair. I mean, um, I don't want this person to get blindsided or anybody to get blindsided when they're sharing information. But anyway, this is from American Military News. Now, the kicker. See, here's the article. Right. Well, shit. Damn lights in the way. Anyway, it's American Military News. The story just came out today. The GAO published a report finding gaps in oversight for dozens of military medical professionals. This is from Sharon Silas, the director for the GAO's healthcare team, explained that the oversight agency began reviewing issues with the DHA after news reports as far back as 2014 documented lapses in patient safety at military medical facilities, including failure to review serious patient safety, even as misdiagnosis of a life threatening condition. Now, everybody's saying, "Well, that's active duty." That doesn't really apply to me. I'm retired. Um, what this article is telling us, and the good part's getting ready to come up. Uh, and let me just read it to you, so that way I don't just go off the cuff here. As a part of the ongoing review at the DHA's internal oversight practices, the GA reviewed 100% healthcare providers as four selected military DHA-run medical facilities. They found facilities failed to verify all medical licenses for six of those healthcare providers before allowing them to practice. Further, the GA reports finding the facilities failed to conduct required performance monitoring every 6 months for three quarters that provided for providers it reviewed. So, in other words, what we're saying is that, and it kind of goes into the piece of the puzzle that we're putting together, is that um, we now know we have documented proof that the military, um, in conjunction with the VA, they actually were they needed doctors, they needed healthcare professionals, they needed people pre 9/11. I mean post 9/11. Iraq. Uh, this goes back to Iraq. This goes back to Afghanistan, or anybody involved in a conflict after 2014. In other words, the VA and military were actually hiring people before they actually received their licenses, and they were allowing them to work until they received the license. So, in other words, they weren't licensed practitioners. And if you were in the hospital during this particular time, that you were misdiagnosed. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means the fact is if you were misdiagnosed initially when you were recovering, I did my recovery at Fort Lewis Madigan Hospital, and I did my recovery for a year, and I saw many doctors, and many of you the same way, and they prepared your initial uh, uh, medical records. So now we have the VA going back to those original medical records to for your diagnosis, and also reassessing that diagnosis, but it was done by an unlicensed professional or practitioner, or somewhere in your care from 2014 there was a person who reviewed your records that were not licensed to practice medicine or weren't authorized to look at your medical records. HIPAA violations occur. Somebody corrected me on this wrong, said I was wrong or whatever. No, you just don't sign. They said, well, when you sign a HIPAA, when you sign the release, you release it all to the VA. No, that's incorrect. Each time somebody reviews your records, you have to be notified. You have to sign off on it. In other words, they can't have a blanket statement saying that whether you can just share all your information to the VA. That would be ludicrous. Anybody that works for the VA could actually review your files if this individual is correct. And it's no. I hate people that think they know about how the system works and they're not even involved in the system. A HIPAA violation is that you cannot sign a blank statement allowing all the VA to look at your records. If anybody actually look at your records that do not have acts or do not that you haven't authorized to do so, then it is a HIPAA violation. Period. If you don't believe me, we'll challenge that in court. That's going to come up and it will be challenged in court. And I guarantee you that I'll be right. Now, the next phase is that we've seen this coming to, and I'm just going by the updates that I've seen or whatever. Today at Loma Linda Hospital, it was reported. I'm kind of getting the gist of this, of the story that came out that a United States veteran in Loma Linda Hospital walked into the hospital at VA and demanded, said he was threatening to kill himself. He was trying to get help. He needed to see somebody at that particular time. Probably, I can't say for sure, probably because of this VA healthcare system, this caregiver freaking scandal we've got going on. And I say that because I've thought about doing that. You better get me somewhere where I'm safe, or because I don't, is there fear of hurting yourself or others? It's always ask you that question. Well, this individual went down to the hospital, told him that he was thinking of hurting himself or hurting others, that he wanted to talk to somebody at the VA, a professional, and he was seeking help. Well, he sat there they said, well, you go sit over here and, go sit. So in other words, the nurses or the VA personnel just went over there and said, sit down. And this one person watched him for 2 hours. Just sit there, watched him for 2 hours. Then after the 2 hour period, after 2 hours, they said, oh, he's okay. He can go. The man still refused to leave. No, I am not okay. I can imagine his conversation. No, I'm here for help. I want help. Give me help. Or give me somebody to go to. We go through this at the VA, but this is in person. So what happens? They call in the VA police, which is a federal agency. They handcuff him and they slam this individual to the floor. Hits his head on the floor and he's died. He passed away. He died because of these injuries. Say that again. A guy goes into the VA, asks for help, says, I'm not leaving till I get it. I don't blame him. Especially if he's thinking about hurting others, and we've all been there, thinking about hurting others or hurting yourself, or you're worried about what you're freaking going to do. And you don't trust yourself, so you go to the VA, you ask for help. They hoo-ya, put you off, delay, deny, and hope you die. Well, in this scenario, they delayed. They denied his request for help, and he died by the hands of the VA police. He died. Family filed a lawsuit, and in the statement from the family, it stated that he was just going there to get help. Now, I don't know if this individual, and I really don't care if this individual was belligerent. It doesn't seem so. I don't know if this individual, but he didn't cause any big scene. There was nothing from Loma Linda Hospital to tell him that, well, he was causing a big scene, he was threatening people, or whatever this in the VA or whatever. Still doesn't matter, because the fact is that he was in a VA hospital. He was asking for help. They denied care to this individual, this veteran. They did call the police, the VA police. They handcuffed his ass, slam dunked him to the floor. His head hit the floor, and he died. Boom. Just because this veteran asked for help. That's it. This kind of sums up what we have all been talking about, but we're going through it on the bureaucratic side, with the paperwork side, with having to do this or whatever. And our caregivers and our veterans they're slowly killing us off. But this individual is a perfect example. He went to the VA for help. He didn't come out. A VA hospital he went into. He didn't come out. This speaks highly, and this is, I'm going to reemphasize, and people will nitpick the story together, but this didn't. But no, this is part of the bigger picture. It's exactly the same thing we're doing. They delayed our decisions. They're denying us, and they're just hoping that we die off before. It's the same thing with the PACT Act. It's taken them 12 to 15 years to even get this on the floor of the House and Senate to recognize we've got veterans dying from burn pit exposure. We've got and delay. They deny that there's anybody that has problems, except for the fact is they can't hide it now, because the fact is that people are coming down with cancers they shouldn't have. John Miller said it best. He said, why don't, when he testified before Congress, he said, why don't we do this? Let's build a 10-acre or a 10-mile trench around Washington, and let's just go throw everything in that shit, and let's just burn it and see how fast Congress will act then. And everybody knows this. It's if your boots hit the ground. I'm not sure about Iraq, because the areas that I served in Iraq, I was not close to any burn pits, but I was around. I went through territories that they had burn pits or whatever, but I was kind of away from the exposure, so I didn't really get any. There was never never anything that made me think, that, hey, I'm breathing something I don't want to breathe. But if you served in Afghanistan, and I was in Kabul, okay, the first thing you'll notice is when you got off the bus at Camp Eggers was this: the damn air. It would just stick to you like glue. It's like, yeah, you couldn't see the air, but it would just stick to you, and you would have problem breathing. We called it the Kabul crud. For the first 2 weeks, you were hacking up stuff. You were you were sick. You felt like crap. Um, it wasn't jet lag. I mean, but it was, you just felt like crap for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you got over it. Now, how do I know this? I'm not making this up. How do I know this? Because the fact is, I had a buddy who was a medic. He was doc, and he worked on post. And every morning, for some reason, every morning and every afternoon, the medics were actually required to go out and do an air quality test around the post. And 2 or 3 days before this incident happened, he said, man, get inside today. Stay inside if you can. Don't come out, don't do all this. Don't stay inside as much as you can today. And I was like, why? What's going on? Well, 72 hours passed by. They blacked out the entire post. I mean, the entire post, everybody was black. You couldn't even enter Kabul. You couldn't come in with your diesel trucks. You couldn't come in. No, because the air quality was so bad. And I was around that for 13 months. I did not have. I've asked, I've been diagnosed. I went to go ask these doctors, I can't breathe. And I'm switching the subject from the caregiver program. But to tie it all in, my caregiver is the one who noticed that I was not being able to walk as far without breathing. My caregiver was the one who actually said, man, are you okay? You can't breathe? You're okay? It got so bad. She's the one who bought me. She went, and we went to this, we went somewhere shopping, and she bought me this big long stick. And the reason why she bought me the stick was because the fact is that not only did it help me with my joints moving, but what it also did is that when I fell down, I'd have something to get up. And they told me at that time the only way that you could actually get properly tested was you had to take a CTE test, and a certain CTE test, and then it would show up normal, or it would show up, first it would be asthma. Now mine has progressed to COPD. You guys have heard the story, but they told me at that time that I needed to go to a doctor, a specialist in New York, to have a lung biopsy, and that's the only way they could find out, to be able to properly diagnose me. Did that go on my medical records? No. But I have made it a point, and you have to make this point when you go in to tell your doctor, make sure you write this down, especially now. Last thing before I get off, and I know I talk too much, but anyway, I wanted to share the news about this. It's on American Military News. Please look it up. It's come out. It's starting to put a piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of people on Twitter that I follow that are sharing information, and that information, if you collect enough of that information, you start to notice a trend, and it's like, holy hell, uh, this they should have known anyway. But here is the thing that I want to get across today, and I want people to understand this. And people don't understand it's like there is a difference between the caregiver and the veteran. They're they're like this, okay? But a caregiver is the individual who takes care of this veteran. Caregivers do more before 7 o'clock in the morning than most people do all day. They are up getting your medications. They're up to make sure you're getting up, making sure you take a shower, make sure you got something to eat for breakfast, make sure you remember to take your medication. They're there in case you fall down. They organize your medications. They stay in contact with your doctors to make sure that you're getting care, or what do they need to do to get you to care, to get to your appointments on time and remember your appointments, and actually goes in with you. My caregiver goes in with me because I have short-term memory. My memory, I'm like, well, I don't remember that. She writes notes, she takes notes and everything. So we're back on page. So I can keep track of my own health. Because left to my own resources, just I depended on me, I'd have been dead by now. And people think I'm overstating that, but no. And there's a lot of veterans out there that can say that if I didn't have her here, I would be dead by now. I don't know how, I don't know when, or I don't know how when it was going to happen, but I know that I couldn't continue my quality of life or any type of life without having a caregiver, and it was a godsend that we got it. But people have to understand there's a difference between the caregiver and the veteran. The veteran has to qualify for a caregiver. Now, with the caregivers, you have to understand is that people, and it makes me so mad. People say, well, they just want the caregivers just want a free handout. The veterans just getting a free handout. No, that money goes directly to the caregiver. And what we've got it set up in our house, it goes directly into my wife's account. She's my caregiver to make up for her income that she lost whenever she quit her job, to fully take care of me full time. And she ought to be compensated for that. I don't know the dollar amounts. Congress and all them can figure all that or whatever, but she should be able to. She should be able to be paid for her because she works her ass off around here for me. Not the one that she got to put up with my ass. But the caregivers who actually work with veterans, they're my heroes because the fact is that they uh, they put it all together. They're the main reason why veterans can actually get do things they want to do, but they're actually my hero because the fact is I don't know how many lives they saved. I don't know how many veterans were on the brink or whatever, and their caregiver was like, you know what, I'm staying here with you. I ain't quitting on you. We're gonna do this. We've got to do this. Or if I was getting to where she couldn't actually bring me back or whatever, she would call my dog and say, look, he needs to get in. He needs to see you. We need to change his medications or whatever. That's all we got is medication. And as it was mentioned in one of the tweets, that's all they do. If I can't sleep, well, just take another pill. I'm taking 7 pills right now. I don't know if they're doing me any good or not. I can't tell. My caregiver can tell though, and she can tell me you're acting this way. I'm going to talk to your doctor, and we're going to work out. Do we need to up your medication, reduce the medication, whatever we got to do to get you right back to where you can function to the best of your ability. So get off caregivers because the fact is that without them, and caregivers are the ones who are leading the fight right now. They're the ones who are fighting for the veteran. Trust me, there was probably more veterans out here that don't have caregivers who are going through the same damn thing, but they don't have the resources. They don't have, they're not mentally or physically able to go through this bureaucratic bullshit that the caregiver program is putting up to them. And who's doing this? It's the caregivers. The caregivers are filling out the forms. The caregivers are the ones staying on hold for hours. The caregivers are the ones asking questions and demanding answers. There's, like I said to many people on Twitter, I salute you, man, because the fact is that nobody else would do it for us. I go through town, or and I don't really drive that far. I just drive around town, piddle around, go to the hardware store, go get my hair cut, things like that. It's about maybe like 20 miles, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. I'm out of the house or whatever. And then I end up coming back home, checking in, and then go do my other stuff or whatever. But here, the thing about it is that without my caregiver, I wouldn't be mobile. Um, when I fall down and I go into a seizure, I'm a caregiver. I can't call 911. So I want to make this specifically correct. If you are actually saying, that caregivers are out for a handout, that's bullshit. Spend 24 hours in their life taking care of this veteran, and I, of course, swear to God, you'll quit. To civilians out there that actually see these videos or actually wondering what the big hoorah is or whatever, the hoo-ha. I'm going to tell you this right now. Excuse my language. Hope the kids ain't watching whatever. We're going to go back to the Marine Corps. That way I'm not really, it's a clusterfuck. Okay. Sorry. Excuse my language. I am a Christian, but sometimes Lord's still working on me. But it is a clusterfuck. When I go out, like I was saying, when I go out, and people always say, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service." I'm not really sure how to answer that. And my response, thank you for recognizing. Thank you for recognizing this, whatever. It's a very nice gesture, and I appreciate getting it or whatever. But here's the thing: if you're a civilian and you know this is going on to a veteran, here's your way to help. Here's your way to actually thank that veteran for their service. You can actually do something instead of saying something. You can actually call your congressman. If you see tweets of people who are actually following this and sharing information, follow them. Keep up on it. Because in the last 2 weeks, and I've been involved in this since October, but nobody would listen. I mean, many people were like this. There's one lady on here on Twitter. She said, I've been fighting this for 5 years. So civilians share that. If you want to thank a veteran for their service, call your congressman and tell them I am concerned about veterans and the caregiver program and why they're being reviewed, why they're being removed. If you're a veteran, put a freedom of information request, especially now because we have this out. Find out if you're anybody that has reviewed your file. Make sure they were licensed to be able to do so. Anybody that prescribed medication to you, anybody who actually signed a piece of paper saying you were diagnosed with this, did they have a license to do so? We're finding out more and more each day. And like I said, my avenue is to go on Twitter, share the information that I've got with you. You share the information through your Twitter feeds, so I can be informed. I'll inform you as much as I can. It may be bullshit, or you may not want it, or whatever. I may have heard it before, or whatever. But anyway, maybe you can share it with somebody who doesn't know it, because we're in this fight together. To each and every veteran out there, I want to make sure. I don't know what the branch of service. I really don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you're a combat veteran, non-combat veteran. It don't make no shit to me. But the fact of the matter is that the caregiver program is just the tip of the iceberg. How are we going to actually fight this bureaucratic mess and this clusterfuck that we got to go through? We got to band together and fight as one unified unit. The same methods, the same tactics, everything we've got to put all our effort into finding information, informing all our veterans, informing all of us, and asking questions and demanding answers, because it's getting worse. And it's impossible for everybody to keep up with everything, and I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. Anyway, thought I would share that with you. Thank you guys who have actually watched the videos. Thank you. I know that I'm like full of shit sometimes or whatever, but anyway, I do have a source for this, and I do read you some of it. American Military News, it's in there. I believe Stars and Stripes will probably come out with it tomorrow. The more they confirm it, that's what I've gathered. But now it's just something now that Congress has got to address. And with all of these things, all these issues that are coming up, where caregiver program, the VA doesn't have answers, they're getting caught with their pants down. Well, damned if you didn't get caught. Now it's time for some heads to roll. Now it's time for Miss Cabot, Miss Richardson. It's time for you to write your book now. You got to go. And anybody else who's involved in this or whatever has got to go. I don't know who stakeholders are, but as stakeholders, they need to be held accountable too. Thank you guys for listening. I'll share this, and I hope you guys will thank you. There's I think I got like 15 views last time. I appreciate that. That means I reached 15 people with what I know, and that's all I'm doing is just keeping you informed. I don't want no likes. I don't want no attaboys. I don't want none of that. I just want to get. I don't leave nobody behind, man. That's trained, and that I was trained that way. I believe that, and I can't leave anybody behind. If I know something, I'm gonna share the word with you, man, and then we'll make a plan, or we'll set up some kind of tactic to where we address it, so we can actually get things done, and they can stop messing with the veteran. My message tonight is stop messing with us. Stop. Thank you, guys. You guys have a blessed day. I'm out.